This is the highest attendance for FAQ. Huh?
They all love you so much.
Chali.
Good afternoon. A very warm welcome to Honorable Minister of State for Electronics and IT and Skills and Development and Entrepreneurship, Secretary Mighty, distinguished colleagues from the Ministry, and representatives from the media. We are thankful to Honorable Minister of State for taking out time from his extremely busy schedule today to be with us. Today, we are living in a connected world and progressing on Digital India program with the goal to transform India into a digitally empowered society and knowledge economy. It is important that such digitally empowered society is safe and secure. Today, we are faced with incidents such as data breaches, data leaks, website intrusions, malware propagation, ransomware threats, distributed denial of service attacks, etc., adversely affecting the confidentiality and integrity of data as well as availability of services. Cyber resiliency and effective cyber security management involves a combination of preventive, detective, and reactive processes derived from regulations and directives. The ability to respond in a timely manner to cybersecurity incidents is vital to minimize the impact of such incidents. The Indian Computer Emergency Response Team (CERTIN) serves as a national agency for performing various functions in the area of cybersecurity in the country, as per provisions of Section 70B of the Information Technology Act 2000. CERTIN continuously analyzes cyber threats and handles cyber incidents tracked and reported to it. CERTIN regularly issues advisories to organizations and users to enable them to protect their data and information and their ICT infrastructure, as it is the mandate of CERTIN to provide a safe, secure, and trusted internet for all. During the course of handling cyber incidents and interactions with the constituency, CERTIN has identified certain gaps causing hindrance in incident analysis. To address the identified gaps and issues so as to facilitate incident response measures, CERTIN has issued directions relating to information security practices, procedure, prevention, response, and reporting of cyber incidents under the provisions of subsection 6 of Section 70B of Information Technology Act 2000 on 28/4/2022. These directions shall enhance overall cybersecurity posture and ensure open, safe, and accountable internet in the country. In response to general queries received by CERTIN on the cybersecurity directions issued on 28/4/2022, a frequently asked questions document has been prepared. Today, we are meeting to mark the release of these frequently asked questions. Now, I would like to request Honorable Minister to release the frequently asked questions document on the cybersecurity directions of CERTIN and thereafter to address the August gathering.
Same, huh?
Yes. I would request Honorable Minister to address the August gathering.
You not speak? My colleagues from the ministry, Yalkesh Sharmaji, Secretary, DG CERT, and all of my other colleagues in the ministry and friends of the media. Thank you for being here today on an important occasion of launching the FAQs for the cybersecurity directions that were issued a few days ago. As you know that it has become the practice of our ministry, two broad things are becoming signature practices of our ministry. One is that as we create legislation and rules, we will undertake public consultations before we finalize those, and then follow those rules and or directions and or legislation with easy to understand and easy to comprehend FAQs that go to explaining what the logic is, how the rules or legislation or directions are operationalized, and what the end outcome and objective of these changes are. A few months ago, we had an occasion to talk about the intermediary guidelines and the FAQs that explain them and the objective. If you recall, early on when the intermediary guidelines were issued, there were some misgivings that this was targeting free speech, etc., etc., etc. And as time has progressed and as facts and events have proven, those rules have been played a seminal and a very significant role in the government's objective of making the internet open, keeping the internet open, making it safe and trusted and accountable to all the users. As the digital economy grows, and you are all aware that it is our Honorable Prime Minister's vision and ambition that the next decade be India's decade, the digitization of government, digitization of our economy, digital opportunities are expanding. Startups are growing, the unicorns numbers, I will not again repeat, but you are all aware of the success and the growth of our innovation ecosystem. As that progresses on one hand, it is equally important to make sure that that today serve 80 crore Indians and will soon serve 120 crore Indians remains safe and trusted. Online safety, online trust, and online accountability are important policy objectives of our government and our duty to the citizens and digital nagriks of India. In that context, the government has, over the last many years, undertaken many initiatives and spent considerable amounts of money to create an atmosphere of safety and trust and to address cybersecurity online. Over 809 crores have been spent from 2019 to 2020, and a further 515 crores from 2022 to 2023 have been allocated to address infrastructure awareness, situational awareness of cyber threats, tools, the Cyber Swachhata Kendras, the cyber security R&D program, setting up the NCCC, etc. We also have a large number of programs that the government has run through the METI on information security education awareness with an outlay of almost 100 crores that has gone and addressed that has gone to the essence of creating awareness and training of CISOs in our enterprises around the country. Over 1,360 awareness workshops have been conducted across the country, covering 250,000 participants and 125,000 instructors and teachers in cybersecurity skilling and training. The point I wanted to make before I get into the cybersecurity directions is cybersecurity, online safety, online trust, and a secure cyberspace is a very, very important objective, very important goal for a country like ours, which is aspiring to $1 trillion digital economy and 120 crore Indians online. A large number of initiatives have been undertaken, and the cybersecurity directions are one piece of an overall strategy to creating a secure cyberspace. The FAQs are easy to understand, and if anything, they are exhaustive and more than exhaustive. I would encourage you to read it. I would encourage you through you that the users of the internet, the readers, viewers of your channels, of your newspapers, also understand what's being done and allow them to be also more aware and participate in our collective mission of creating a much more secure cyberspace in India and a safe and a trusted internet for all users across the nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With the permission of Honorable Minister, we may have a few questions.
Sure.
So first of all, I want to thank on your behalf to all the media who have turned up in large numbers. So the interest in FAQs is indeed, sir, appreciated. And I will request the media persons to put up the questions. Yes, please.
Sir, on the I request if you can kindly give your name and also from which media you are.
Sir, with respect to cyber incident reporting, several companies are concerned that it has been done without consultation and since our time is very less for them to respond.
I will let DG Cert add to what I'm saying. But there was consultation and there has always been consultation, and everything we do is very open and transparent. I have laid out in front of you what our objectives and outcomes are. In terms of the reporting time, whether 72 hours is too less, too more. If you look at, 6 hours, sorry, whatever, is too less or too more, too long. If you look at precedents all around the world, understand that this is cybersecurity is a very complex issue where situational awareness of multiple incidents allows us to understand the conspiracy behind it or a larger, let us say, force behind it. So reporting accurately, reporting mandatorily, reporting on time is an absolutely essential part of the ability of CERT and the government to be ensuring that the internet is always safe and trusted. If you look at do you have the data of these other countries? Yeah, if this DG Cert will share with you the precedents from around the world, which range from immediate reporting. There are countries that mandate immediate reporting. And I think we have been extremely generous because this is the first we have made this set of directions that we have given 6 hours. So I don't see any merit in people saying that this is too less or etc. etc. DG Cert can give you some more light.
For example, France in the financial sector, it says within 4 hours. Indonesia has within 1 hour. Italy has within 3 hours. Japan says immediate. Singapore is within 1 hour. Spain is 2 hours. And UK in the financial sector, their threshold is immediate. So I think it is very clear, as the Honorable MOS has mentioned, the situational awareness understanding is critical, as we need resiliency and stability to make sure that everyone is safe, secure, and they can trust the internet. Otherwise, there will be no trust in the cyberspace, and there will be no stability and no resilience.
And I just want to add one more thing, just as a broad gyan that I'm giving. Please understand the actors are no longer amateurs. It used to be 10 years ago when we talk about cyber breaches and cyber incidents. You think of one young person sitting behind a computer trying to hack a firewall to get some academic satisfaction. Ki maine hack kar diya. Today it is not that. The criminality and the cyber incidents, the nature, type, form, shape of it are very complex. They have very sinister elements behind it. There are many state actors that are also using vulnerabilities in various countries' internet space. And very importantly, why this logic of very rapid reporting is almost essential to the internet is those who commit these breaches can move on very quickly. And technology and the people who practice these technologies and therefore use technology for these kind of incidents are not sitting still. With all of the tools that they have, the breach could be one place, can originate from one place, and they can move on very rapidly to undertake the same type of breaches from multiple other locations. So immediate reporting, very quick reporting is fundamental to investigating forensic analysis and situational awareness of the nature of the incident and or conspiracy behind it.
Is government planning to reconsider some of the clause, the notification?
No, not at all. Yes, Ashish.
Sir, Ashish from the Economic Times. Sir, most often it is noticed, or in many instances it is noticed that when such cyber incidents happens, when the data is breached, it's often, days before the data surfaces on dark internet or some other place that the company gets to know that such a data has been breached. So, I mean, what does the government plan? You have mandated that it be reported within 6 hours. 6 hours from when they get to know, or 6 hours?
Yeah, if you look at the language is very clear, Ashish. It is 6 hours after you observe it, after the incident is known. And look, our approach is not to quibble on the issue of did you report it on the 6 hour and 59th minute or the 7 hour first minute. It is about creating within the intermediaries and the players that are in the internet an awareness that there is a requirement on their part to produce evidence of a breach or a reporting of a breach. It is the obligation to produce the data and the information relating to the breach that is much more important than fixating on whether it's 6 hours and tomorrow it may be 4 hours and it could be 3 hours. It is in everybody's interest, the government, the consumer, and the enterprise. We are all stakeholders and we all benefit from a safe and trusted internet. There cannot be anybody in India who will argue that a safer and trusted internet is only something that MeitY is interested in and is not the interest of somebody else. A safe and trusted internet means if you are conducting e-commerce business online or if you are an enterprise that have significant internet presence, it is in your interest to be a stakeholder, and by being a stakeholder you're mandatorily reporting breaches that you observe in your system to CERT.
Sir, quick follow-up.
Yeah.
You said that 6 hours is based on the international norms that are prevalent everywhere. Internationally also, other than the reporting norm, there are very strict penalties that are levied if a company or if there is a breach of data. So what are your thoughts on that and what is the government's approach to that?
The language and the directions are very clear. There is a question that says what happens if you don't produce it. And I think I just want to, through you, to share this philosophical view of the ministry and the government of India, that the mandate is to produce the information. If an entity decides to hide behind some internal guidelines and internal rules or internal ideology or whatever you want to call it, and say we will not report it and we will not produce it, then of course we will have to take action. But we are hoping and assuming today that every well-meaning enterprise, every well-meaning company, every well-meaning entity that is today using the internet for its benefit also understands that having a safe, open, and trusted internet is also something that is going to benefit it. Because as the internet becomes safe and trusted, the investments that you have to make in all these cyber security, let's say consultants and cyber security firewalls and solutions will also come down.
Yes, please. Sir, a number of VPN service providers have actually questioned the norms. At least one in NordVPN has said that it may decide to pull out its service from India altogether if the rules are enforced on them. And one in Surfshark has said that it has a no logs policy where it doesn't even log user information. So how would you address those concerns?
No, I don't have. We won't have those concerns. Yeah, as I've said, the government has very clearly said repeatedly on all issues relating to rule making. There is no opportunity for somebody to say we will not follow the laws and rules of India. If you don't have the logs, start maintaining the logs. If you're a VPN that wants to hide and be anonymous about those who uses VPNs to do business in India, and you don't want to apply, you don't want to go by these rules, then if you want to pull out, frankly, that is the only opportunity you have. You have to pull out. So if you are a VPN provider, if you are a data center operator, if you are a cloud provider, and if you're an enterprise, you have an obligation to know who's using your VPN infrastructure, who's using your cloud, who's using a data center. Why do you have an obligation to use it? If there is a detected cyber incident or cyber breach from one of the people using your VPN or your cloud or your data center, it is your obligation to produce the data. Now you can't at that point stand and say, no, but it's our rules that we will not maintain logs. If you don't maintain logs, this is not a good place to do business.
So just a small follow-up on the logging requirements. I mean, for 180 days, they have to maintain, this database. And many Indian governments said that, creating a database with all the user information and saving that for 180 days further opens up that database to further security breaches, because it creates a single point of failure wherein one database has everything.
Look, all this we have heard. Every time there is a set of rules, companies will tell you, or some few companies will tell you how difficult life is made for them. Now, I am not saying that somebody who does not maintain logs does not have to have a behavioral change and maintain logs. Of course, there is a change. But in the overall context, our public policy objective is safety and trust of the internet. And keeping that center stage, keeping that in spotlight, there is a requirement of all intermediaries, including VPNs and clouds and data centers, to know who's using their infrastructure and who's using the capacity. That is the bottom line. Uh, do they need to then create a database with adequate data protection features? Of course they do.
So, and I think on the consultation.
And by the way, it's a bizarre stipulation, because anybody who's operating a VPN, anybody who's operating a cloud in India or a data center, common sense tells us that they are obviously doing it as a secure platform. If suddenly they find security as a mystifying new idea concept, when they're supposed to be running a then there's a whole question mark about what operations they're running.
And so just one small question. I think on the consultation bit, the concern that's been raised is that even though there was a consultation, it wasn't necessarily a public consultation wherein like wide stakeholders weren't consulted.
In the cybersecurity directions is not a public consultation. It is to do with data centers. It is to do with the cloud providers. So the consultation were with those people who actually run the relevant infrastructure, those who are impacted by this. I mean, there's no need for us to go do a consultation on cybersecurity directions with, let us say, Aam Aadmi, because he's not coming under this. He's not covered by this. This is all enterprises and companies and entities that are covered by this.
Sir, in absence of data protection law, if these kind of guidelines are coming up, there can be some kind of threat to the privacy.
No, why? No, look, I will answer that. I know it's a nice, like, via question that you've answered. So, data protection law basically creates a legislative framework for the informational privacy of the individual. That is what the government said when it was introduced in 2018, and that remains intact. This is not some exclusionary provision. A large number of rule making you will see over the next coming months that will be made that addresses the openness, safety, trust, and accountability issues of the internet, and that will continue on. They are not linked to or mutually exclusive from the legislation that is being considered by Parliament and the government. On a breach, on the breach and under the law, under the IT Act.
Yes, please. Yeah, let's go behind.
Hi, morning. Ashwin here from CNBC. The question I want to ask you is that given the compliance,
Please take a mic if you want to take. Yeah. There's a mic here.
Sorry, given the compliance burden this casts on the companies, the fact that they have to localize data, is there any flexibility in terms of expanding the timeline for enforcement that would allow more time for these companies to come aboard?
Look, frankly, the burden on compliance is very incremental. What are we asking them? We are only saying that you all of you enterprises, in the event of a cyber incident, must report the cyber incident. And during the course of the investigation of certain, if logs are required to determine where these incidents originated from, you should have the logs. That, by the way, is a very natural thing that is par for the course for almost all platforms. And now there are exceptions to the rule. The general rule is everybody does have logs. Everybody does maintain data of who's using their clouds and data centers and VPN. Now, the exception is these few people who say, no, we want to have all of our users to be anonymous. For them, if there's an increase in degree of compliance, that is going from zero compliance to compliance. So I don't see that as being a big issue at all. In terms of time for compliance, how long have we given it?
60 days.
60 days. So, I mean, we are all working in partnership, in consultation. If somebody comes and says we need more than 60 days, for what? What is the 60? I mean, today the compliance is only that you have to report a breach. So are you saying for the next 60 days we will not report breaches and the 61st day will start? So there is no logic for asking for additional days to report a breach. You get my point, right?
Yeah, yes, please.
Actually, we should have been. I mean, in many cases, this would have been effective immediately. We have given them 60 days to help them prepare their systems to do the reporting. But there is no real infrastructure requirement to start reporting breaches. But we've still given them 60 days.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, this is Aditi from Forbes India. What prompted the release of these rules? Was it that companies weren't reporting breaches in the first place, or that they were taking too much time? Because we saw in media as well as in the public domain that a lot of companies denied any breaches even though the data was out there.
No, look, what prompts rules and better rules and what is prompting new making? Our own understanding of and our own the assessment of what the challenges are going forward. Cyber security is an important objective. There are obviously cyber security directions in place before this was notified. Those cyber security directions did not require mandatory reporting. And as the internet grows and expands today, remember those cybersecurity directions were issued in 2011. Am I right? 11 years ago. 11 years ago, the size, shape, scale of the Indian internet was a dramatically different one from what we are in 2022. We have 80 crore Indians online. Almost every enterprise today is connected on the internet and is heavily digitized. And therefore, the risks that are represented in 2022 are materially different from the risks of 2011. And therefore, we think mandatory reporting is absolutely important for us as government and industry to keep the internet open and safe and trusted.
So, and if I may just have a follow-up, there's no obligation on CERT or on any of the enterprises that are covered by the rules to go public with the breach or to inform their customers about the breach. Unlike, say, the proposed data protection bill, it's up to the.
No, yeah, you're mixing up two things here.
No, but
This is nothing to do with informational privacy. This is to do with safety and trust of the internet vis-a-vis CERT's mandate. CERT has no mandate for informational privacy. CERT's mandate is to identify cybersecurity incidents, investigate it, and get to the bottom of who has caused this. And if it has been caused by actors, state actors, etc., there are other actions that we take.
But sir, CERT's mandate also includes informing the public about vulnerability and vulnerability disclosures as well as advisory notes.
No, so, this doesn't address that.
Let's move to Danish here. Waiting now, please.
Hi, so Danish, I'm from 80 now. So I just wanted to check, since the IT laws which we have.
I just want to explain. CERT has a mandate for awareness creation, which is a different thing from reporting, mandatory reporting. CERT is doing a lot of work on creating awareness. That was my preamble to my statement. The amount of money that we have spent, the amount of workshops that have been conducted in creating awareness around the country about what the vulnerabilities of the internet mean to an enterprise. So that is an ongoing effort. This is about cyber security incidents and investigating it. And an important element, like in any crime that you look at anywhere, the crime investigation starts when the victim of a crime reports a crime. And this is the exact equivalent in the cyberspace.
Hi, sir. Danish, I'm from EK now. So these directions have come out last month, but at the same time, we have like really old IT laws. So is the government planning to keep those IT laws? Are you thinking about it so that these new updates can be in sync with?
Yes. Yes.
Any more details?
Long question, short answer.
Okay. Anyone this side? Anyone else? Yes, please. Yeah. You have a question? No, you don't have. Anybody this side?
Any Malayalam, Kannada questions?
Prasoon has some. Yeah. Okay, last one.
Part of awareness. So alerting users is also mandate of CERT comes into
alerting user. That is the same question. That is in the event of a breach. That is, you alert a user when his or her data has been breached. That is a mandate under the SPD rules of the IT Act, which are also been updated, which you will hear about it soon, and the Personal Data Protection Bill.
Thank you all very much. I think we can move to the DG. You have a question? Malayalam.
If you ask me Malayalam, I'll tell you. I'll bite. We'll give a bite. Fine.
Okay. No more question, you can move to the DG for, I think, vote of thanks.
Yeah, finish.
Yeah, vote of thanks.
Are you circulating the books to everyone?
So I think we can circulate the books to all the media immediately.
Yes, please.
Right. We'll give you that.
So, if there are no further questions, thank you very much. I would like to place on record a special thanks to our Honorable Minister of State, without whose guidance it would not have been possible to come up with these cybersecurity directions as well as the FAQs. On behalf of Certain and Mighty, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to Secretary Mighty, to all my colleagues from Mighty, Certain, and representatives from the media. I would like to thank each and every one of you for being here. Request you all to please kindly join for some tea and snacks. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.